team at Washington Hospital at BayAreaHealthierTogether.com. Get ABC 7 News now on Apple News.
Good morning, America. We're tracking a deadly winter storm barreling across the country this morning. Drivers dealing with treacherous roads, this close call captured on camera. Alerts in 28 states from Colorado to Maine. Piling snow causing a deadly avalanche at one ski resort and thousands of flights canceled. We have team coverage of this dangerous storm.
Mysterious virus. The CDC concerned an outbreak in China could spread here. New overnight, thousands of flyers being screened at 3 major U.S. airports. Dr. Ashton with what you need to know.
Impeachment battle, the president's men playing roles in his... With his Senate trial looming, new documents from a former Rudy Giuliani associate and how they figure in the case.
Under scrutiny. Allegations all 3 of Tesla's widely popular car models may accelerate on their own, potentially causing crashes and injuries. The petition demanding an investigation.
And Art of the Steal, a masterpiece stolen more than 20 years ago, found in a case straight out of the movies.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
And good Saturday morning, everybody. We begin with that fierce winter storm barreling across the country this morning, bringing ice, snow, and whiteout conditions.
At least one person was killed in an avalanche in California where 25 inches in a 24-hour period.
Warnings and alerts from the Midwest. On the roads, we have team coverage beginning with ABC's Kaylee Hartung. She's in the roads. We have team coverage beginning with ABC's Kaylee Hartung. She's in Detroit, where the snow is falling. Kaylee, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. The Riverwalk in Detroit is a popular tourist destination, but we haven't seen anybody this morning except security guards and guys with snowplows. Snow fell quickly here overnight, more than 3 inches, and this is just the beginning.
This morning, a major storm is wreaking havoc. From the Rockies to the Northeast, millions of Americans across 28 states at risk. Blizzard conditions hammering the highways, causing multiple trucks to jackknife, creating impassable roads for drivers.
Wow.
This close call was caught on camera in Iowa. A pickup truck sliding off the road, nearly slamming into officials who were already responding to another incident. Watch again as the truck barrels toward them, just missing this person who barely had time to react. In the South, 2 men were found dead in this car that was pulled from a river in Texas. Officials believe icy roads were to blame for the fatal accident. And in the West, officials are now identifying the skier who was killed in an avalanche at this resort near Lake Tahoe in California after over 2 feet of snow fell in just 24 hours.
Alpine Meadows avalanche.
34-year-old Cole Comstock did not survive the incident. His wife now speaking out about their last moments together.
A funny thing all of our friends do is we hit the tip of our poles. Touch tips is what we call it. And we tap tips and said, I love you and I love you too. We just went our separate ways.
And travel will continue to be a challenge today. This morning, hundreds of flights already canceled. Chicago's O'Hare Airport hit particularly hard. And Eva, thanks for the gloves. You're a lifesaver.
Yeah, be careful out there, Kaylee. Get back into the warm. Well, where are the snow, ice, and whipping winds headed next? Greg Dutra. The snow, ice, and whipping winds headed next. Greg Dutra from our Chicago station WLS is in for Rod this morning, and he is tracking it all. Good morning to you, Greg.
Good morning. A big system, a very windy and snowy system, too. Check out this video from Moorhead, Minnesota. This is from a state trooper's car, and all you can see in front of that state police officer is his lights and barely seeing the video ahead of another car. Now this is from Fargo. Again, I think the only thing you're worried about more in this situation than hitting something from the front end of your car is maybe getting rear-ended by someone who can't see where they're going. Now this system, as it tracks across the U.S., will continue to wind Chicago, moving into the Ohio River Valley. Alerts for afternoon will mainly be in New England. after seeing that 5 to 8 inches of snow out near Detroit. Boston will see 2 to 4 inches of snow. New York City, with I-95 kind of acting as a barrier between a little bit of snow, 1 to 3, and much more snow all the way up into the Adirondacks. Snow 1 to 3, and much more snow all the way up into the Adirondacks. Could see a foot. Whit.
All right, Greg, thanks. We'll check back with you soon. We do want to turn now to new screenings in place at 3 major U.S. airports to check incoming passengers for a potentially deadly virus. The first of these screenings happening overnight at JFK International Airport. That's where ABC's Stephanie Ramos joins us with the latest developments. Stephanie, good morning to you.
Whit, good morning. About 60,000 people travel into the U.S. from Wuhan, China every year. This is why the CDC is taking this new deadly respiratory virus so seriously. It was first reported in Wuhan. Screenings at JFK started last night, and they continue this morning at San Francisco International Airport as another direct flight from Wuhan is expected to land. This morning, U.S. airports are screening airline passengers who are arriving from China for the new deadly virus that the CDC says has made dozens of people sick and has killed 2. The CDC is sending 100 health officials to assist at San Francisco International Airport, LAX, and New York's JFK, where this flight from the outbreak city of Wuhan arrived overnight. Experts say this new type of virus, called the coronavirus, typically causes symptoms of the common cold, but can lead to pneumonia. Federal health officials will take temperatures and ask passengers if they have any symptoms. They're expecting to screen about 5,000 passengers at these 3 airports for the next few weeks.
They're really going to be diverted into a separate area from everyone else, so we're not expecting this to affect the overall SFO.
Many cases of the virus traced back to this food market in Wuhan. Coronaviruses are often found in animals. Countries like Thailand and Japan screening incoming airline passengers as well as a precaution.
We have done the best we can. We have alerted people to take precaution when they travel from China or to China.
The CDC is taking extra precaution. They've even set up special quarantine areas here at the airport. Whit.
All right, Stephanie, our thanks to you. Let's bring in ABC's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Jennifer Ashton. Dr. Ashton, always great to see you. Good morning. There seems to be a lot of unknowns with this virus. So what's the most important thing for people to know?
Well, let's start with what we know and then what we don't know. This coronavirus is a novel or new strain. Generally, as we heard Stephanie say, cause mild or moderate cold-like symptoms. What we don't know is if it could change. We don't know the incubation period. We don't know how contagious this is in humans. So right now, a lot to be discovered about this.
When people hear about airport screenings, it's very alarming to hear that sort of thing, especially if you're traveling. Why is the CDC taking this important step?
Well, I think this is not just for optics. There's no reason to panic here, but I think that in speaking to some of the country's top public health officials and infectious disease specialists last night, they made it clear to me that this is an evolving and dynamic situation. The thought is that the risk of the overall U.S. population at this time is low, but history is important. This comes from the same family as the SARS and MERS virus, which came with a very high death rate, and that is why people in this country and across the world are taking it seriously.
That's right, taking every precaution. All right, Dr. Ashton, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Dan?
Politics now. President Trump's impeachment trial beginning in earnest on Tuesday in the United States Senate. Overnight, the White House announcing who will be on the president's defense team. ABC's David Wright is in Florida, where the president is waking up this morning. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. Ken Starr is back. This time not as a special prosecutor, but as one of President Trump's defense lawyers. The president is spending a few days here in Florida ahead of next week's impeachment trial. House managers are working through the weekend preparing their case. Overnight from the House Judiciary Committee, a document dump. Material obtained from former Rudy Giuliani associate Lev Parnas, now part of the official impeachment record. No smoking guns, it would seem, but the documents do include more text messages by Connecticut congressional candidate Robert Hyde, claiming he was stalking former U.S. Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch months before she was recalled.
Did you feel threatened?
I did.
Parnas told MSNBC he didn't take Hyde seriously.
He's a weird character. I don't believe it's true. I think he was either drunk or he's was trying to make himself bigger than it was.
Hyde denies he ever visited Ukraine, much less
than it was.
Hyde denies he ever visited Ukraine, much less threatened the U.S. ambassador, saying he sent those texts after a few drinks. The State Department and the Ukrainian government. Trump has beefed up his legal team ahead of next week's impeachment trial, adding Ken Starr, the former special prosecutor whose investigation of President Clinton's interactions with Monica Lewinsky triggered Bill Clinton's impeachment, and former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz.
They would be abusing their power if they impeached President Trump.
Both have been vocal defenders of the president's on Fox News, but Dershowitz says his role in the case will be limited.
I am not a full-fledged member of his legal team in the sense that I have a limited role. I will appear one day in the Senate.
As for Ken Starr, Trump has not always had kind things to say.
I think Ken Starr is a lunatic. I really think that Ken Starr is a disaster.
8 lawyers will be there representing the president. Now, today the House managers face a 5 p.m. deadline to file a brief essentially summarizing their case. The president's lawyers will file a response on Monday, and then on Tuesday, the trial is expected to begin in earnest. Dan?
All right, David Wright in Florida, thank you so much to talk about this morning. So let's bring in ABC News chief political analyst Matthew Dowd, who's on set with us this morning. Great to see you, sir.
You too.
So is the outcome of this trial predetermined?
Well, you know, in this disruptive time, it's hard to say anything's predetermined in what's going on. We thought Hillary Clinton was predetermined to be president of the United States in 2016. We thought New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens would be playing in the
Why do you have to make it personal?
Nobody thought the Tennessee Titans were going to play tomorrow. I think the likelihood is that 20 Republicans aren't going to go against the president. But I think, as we've seen over the last 72 hours with all this information that's come out with about Parnas and other memos, and we're going to see more of this, I'm sure, it's hard to say for sure what's going to happen. I think what we all want to do is watch the process, see what unfolds, and ultimately see if they have witnesses at the trial in the Senate.
What are the big risks for the Democrats going forward here?
To overplay their hand. I think the biggest risk for the Democrats is to overplay their hand. And
well, some would say they already have.
Well, I think as of right now, the public wants this trial to take place. But I think if the Democrats overplay this and make it way too partisan, then it could be. Everybody's walking across a pond that's very thin, and anybody could fall through, Republicans or Democrats. But I think the Democrats have to really worry about overplaying their hand.
And what about the risk for the Republicans and President Trump, given that the odds are reasonably low that he'll be convicted and removed?
Well, I think the big risk for President Trump and the Republicans, especially the Republicans, is if they vote to find the president innocent and they don't convict him. If more information comes out after that happens, if all of a sudden more documents come out, more witnesses come forward after they've already voted the president, it puts them in a really bad bind, especially if they haven't asked for witnesses and voted for witnesses in the United States
Right,
Senate.
so if they're seen to have shut down sources of new information or witnesses, and then information comes out subsequently.
That's a problem, but that's problematic, especially because the majority of the country wants witnesses in the Senate to come forward.
All right, Matthew Dowd, always great to see you. Thank you very much.
And happy birthday, A.A. Milne's birthday, Winnie the Pooh, who wrote Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, all right.
What character are you in Winnie the Pooh?
I'm definitely Eeyore.
Is he Tigger? Is he Tigger?
I am definitely.
He is.
His tops are made out of rubber, bottoms are made out of
She
springs.
must be Kanga. She must be Kanga.
Thank you for injecting some levity into this otherwise somber morning, Matthew. Really appreciate it. And I want to remind everybody, we're going to have live coverage of the impeachment trial when it resumes Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, turning now to other news. New arrests investigators say are tied to what authorities describe as a neo-Nazi group. The arrest announced just before the Virginia Supreme Court